There are a lot of people in this country who think terrible things about blacks, people who think terrible things about whites or gays or whatever, and they don't end up shooting anybody. So if somebody ends up opening fire and you'd find out they're a white supremacist, whatever the hell that means, I don't even know what that means, or if you find out that they're whatever, it doesn't matter because, and this is the most important, it doesn't matter because of the fact that an idea is protected. I could think of myself as an elitist, a supremacist, that I'm supreme and better than Alsatians, but I never actually take that hate and do anything with it. And when I hate somebody, it's okay. It's protected so long as I don't hurt anybody. I could hurt people and not hate them. Ted Bundy never hated people. He never hated the victims. He just wanted to kill them. He never had any racial animus. In fact, a lot of these people, they'd kill anybody. Black, white, as long as it was a woman for the most part. Sometimes children only. I mean, this is a phrase we've got to lose once and for all. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. Nobody knows what exactly a white supremacist is or what white supremacy actually means. What does it mean? The media don't know. Politicians don't know. Not even the so-called experts. The term has been diluted and stretched and pulled and remodified and redefined so many times that it now means whatever the left wants it to mean. What difference does it make? I mean, when you have a trans shooter who hates straight binary people, that doesn't come up only this time. You know how the story is. Whenever they need a villain, it's no longer about the skinheads or the Klan rallies. It's about wrongthink, political opponents, and anyone who pushes back against the progressive orthodoxy or anybody who I mean, it's a one-way street. And the tragic shooting at FSU by, and I'm not going to say his name, which is another story. Why say his name? How do we even know he's a white supremacist? Make him an NPC. Just make him that grayed out, whatever. Enough of this. It proves a point. Reports are showing that he allegedly posted anti-black content online. Did he also say anything else about the Yankees or about Florida or anything? Was it because of that? Did he indiscriminately charge? Do we know the racial makeup? I mean, I don't even know. He's crazy. Crazy people say crazy things. And there are a lot of people who hate blacks. You know how many Klansmen never killed anybody? I'm not standing up for them. But how many Aryans never killed anybody? There are people who walk around who hate. They've never done this. He engaged in toxic fora, as it were. Maybe some that were racist. But here's the question that no one's asking. Is that what made him a killer? Or are we yet again confusing correlation with causation? Because it's easier than asking the hard questions. Because here's the deal. If we're being honest, millions of people post hateful, ignorant, horrible, inflammatory things online every single day. Some against black people, some against whites, some against gays, straights, whatever it is. That doesn't mean they're violent. And that doesn't mean that hatred caused the violence. That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean they're going to shoot up a school. It doesn't mean any of this stuff. It just means that the internet is a cesspool and people say things. And if you want to say things, you can say, I don't care what you say. Hate speech is protected. And that's not to say I advocate it. But hating what? I can hate terrorists. I can hate Al-Qaeda. You can hate Hamas. You can even say you hate Palestinians. Nobody's gonna. If you say you hate Israel, that's anti-Semitic. Or if you hate Jews, but it doesn't work the other way around. See, it's one of these weird things. It's whoever's in charge or who thinks they're in charge, they get to determine what hate is accepted. So why is it that when one of these people commits some kind of a horrific act or terrible act, the entire focus is about the ideology and not the individual pathology? And why is that? Because it's politically convenient. And it's the way we speak right now. It's the way we are. It's how we talk. Look, the new witch hunt is everything is white supremacy. Everything. I still don't know what that means. Does that mean I'm supreme to you? What if I say, I think white people are superior? I think Yankees fans, I know elitists all the time. Well, I went to a better school than you, and I live in a better part of the town than you do. And they're supremacists, but they don't, I'm telling you. And the people who think they're smarter or people they look more beautiful. It happens all the time. But you can't do race. If somebody says, I think white people are superior to black people, sorry. And if somebody says, I want my white kid to marry a white person, I don't want my white daughter marrying a black guy. Because I don't think they're up to par. I think they're inferior. Is there anything wrong with that? You might think it's not nice, but is that against the law? No. Should that be verboten? How are you going to, how do you stop that? We're living in an era right now of narrative warfare, okay? This is this groupthink, this politicthink. Not honest dialogue. If a white person commits a crime, it's white supremacy. If a black person does it, well, it's poverty. It's, the natural results of, look, if a Muslim does it, it's marginalization. If a trans person does it, it's mental health. We're tired of it. We don't care anymore. Only one group ever gets assigned collective guilt. Why is that? Well, interesting question. Because the left's power structure thrives on manufactured division. White supremacy is no longer a descriptor of an organized ideology. It's a branding tool. It's a moral cudgel. It's an excuse to silence dissent. That's all it is. In the 1980s, white supremacy meant skinheads and swastikas and race-based militias. And okay, today it means you questioned affirmative action. You questioned DEI. You questioned ESG. You voted for Trump. You think border security is necessary. You're concerned about biological males in women's sports. That's what today is. That's the transformation of this. So congratulations. You're now a domestic extremist. And the real racism comes in every single color. And we know that. We know that. Let's also confront another uncomfortable truth. Racism is not exclusive to any one race or any one group, and you know it. Sexism is true. You know it's true. There are people online and everywhere in the world in a real life situation who say vile, racist, horrible things about whites and Hispanics and Jews and, yes, black people. That's right. And some black people say bad things about black people. But the only time the media seem to care is when black people are the victims and white people are the perpetrators. You know it's true. Every other racial dynamic gets buried, excused, or reframed. Now ask yourself this question, and this is very, very critical. Ask yourself this question. Where was the outrage when a black suspect targeted white people in the Waukesha Christmas parade? Where was the media fury when Asian businesses were looted during the 2020 riots? Why wasn't anti-Semitism on college campuses getting the same nonstop coverage? Why? Who determines? And there is anti-Semitism. Don't think for a moment. Sometimes, yes, it is conflated, but don't think for a moment. But anti-Semitism, in and of itself, I'm sorry, is speech. The moment it's a problem, the moment I threaten you. I mean, I can come up to you face to face, and I can look at you, and I can say something, and I can threaten you, and those are just words. So words alone are not the problem. See, none of these examples fit the white guilt template. The left only recognizes one kind of racism, the kind they can use for political gain. Okay? Online rhetoric does not mean real world violence. We're constantly being told that words are violence, that if someone says something racist online, they're just one step away from becoming the next mass shooter. I guess. But here's the deal. This logic falls apart because the second you apply it equally, it doesn't make any sense. If we use the same standard, half of X would be on a terror watch list. There are users online who say all white people are evil, kill the colonizers, or call for political violence, or they're celebrated, they're retweeted or reposted, or whatever. And in some cases, they're rewarded with book deals. Where's the FBI? Where's the national panics? Nowhere to be found. That's different. That's okay. We're not saying ignore online hate. Nobody's suggesting that. But what I'm saying is treat it all the same. condemn all racism, monitor all threats, or stop pretending you're actually serious about stopping hate. Because it's not really hate that you're after. See, the media's role in the chaos is critical here. The mainstream media are not mere observers. They are participants. They shape public opinion. They hide inconvenient facts, and they amplify panic when it suits them. That's why when a shooter is white and the victims are black, it's breaking news. But if the roles are reversed, the story quietly disappears. Or worse, it's reframed to focus on gun control, as if the motives don't matter. You see, their coverage isn't driven by facts. It's driven by narrative value. And that's exactly what's going on here. A racist white shooter is useful, but a racist black shooter, well, that's a liability. And we're not going to talk about it. That's not journalism. That's agenda enforcement. You see, the real danger here is political weaponization. That's the problem. That's the issue. By constantly overusing terms like white supremacy, the left is crying wolf. And one day, no one's going to listen when a real wolf shows up. That's the whole purpose of this. See, not everything is racism. Not every Trump voter is a bigot. Not every critique of immigration policy is xenophobic. Not everything that you think is inconvenient is bad. Sometimes it's just one of the things of life in which you just have to listen to garbage and BS. And not every act of evil is ideologically motivated. But if you can paint it that way, you can deplatform your enemies, you can criminalize speech, you can justify censorship, you can mobilize low information voters, and distract from your own values. See, that's the playbook. And it's up to us to come forward and say, wait a minute, this is not the way it is. Now listen, we deserve truth, not theater. I think you know that. This kid, I'm not going to say his name, may very well be a racist. He may very well be mentally disturbed. He may be a product of a broken culture, a fatherless home, a nihilistic digital wasteland. I don't know. But instead of asking why this happened, the media instantly pushed the one button they always push, white supremacy. And the question is, why did we do that? Because it's easy. Because it's useful. Because it keeps you angry, afraid, and obedient. That's what it does. We need to better address this. And we need to be better than this. We need to call out hate in every form available. Not just forms that boost ratings. We need to demand nuance, not hysteria. I'm serious. And why we need to stop accepting the idea that only some lives, some crimes, some ideologies matter. That's the problem. Because, my friends, justice doesn't come in colors. And truth doesn't care about your politics. And that's a very, very tough thing for some people to say, but it's the truth. What we cannot do is we cannot lose free speech in the meantime. And what I ask you, my friends, is to think about what I've said. If you agree with me, do me a favor. Please like this video. Liking this video is so critical to get our message out, our words. Number two, please hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. And more importantly, please like this video, which I've said, but subscribe to the channel. Subscribe, and send this to your friends. Send this, saying, I want you to see this feller, see this Lionel legal channel, see this, send this, spread the word, be an apostle of truth. And whatever you do, my friends, I always ask you to comment as you see fit.